Okay, so for people watching today, this is a little bit of a different gig. Friends say that I am best off the cuff. So going off the cuff with Karen is something that I've dreamt about and bringing to you. I've also dreamt about standing on a stage someday with my daughter Lyndsey. And here is Lyndsey, and she is coming to us live
Paris, France.
from Paris, France. And this is International Women's Month. And we just had International Women's Day. And it's a month about empowerment and just celebrating, I don't know, being girls. And I could not be more proud um, of any girl, aside from your sister, who I'm equally as proud of, but she's still sleeping, so she doesn't get to participate. But of my daughter. And she is in Paris. And Lyndsey doesn't have the easiest story to get where she's been in life. And the fact that she blazed a path, went across the world, and is living her dream, to me, is it's a testament to what we all want as women, right? And so we are just gonna, I don't know, shoot the shit a little bit and do what we do best, which is be Karen and Lyndsey. And hopefully you walk away with something that inspires you, not just about being a woman, but about being connected to another woman. And the most special connection in the world to me is that of my daughters. So, Lyndsey Gracie, I know. And Lyndsey also is one of my best and worst critics. Best meaning when she tells me I'm great, worst when she tells me I'm not great. But I got to take it all. And if you don't have a 20 something or teenage daughter, get one because they will keep you humble. So, in any case, Lyndsey Lou, and I will call her Lulu, that is her nickname. And so, tell people a little bit about yourself, kind of how you got to where you are today. And then we'll jump into some topics that kind of really excite us both about women.
Yeah, of course. Well, you had a grand introduction for me that is very, very sweet. So yeah, my name is Lyndsey. I am currently 23 years old, and I, like my mom mentioned earlier, am currently living in Paris, France. So a little unconventional, but I am so happy that I am here and that I'm having this kind of unconventional year. Anyway, so born and raised in Dayton, Ohio, went throughout school, always wanting to do a million things at once, always being very passionate about lots of things. Yeah, just like somebody else we know. And I and so I actually, funny enough, went to the same university as my mom, Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, and picked the same major as her, which shows how much I really truly do look up to my mom and really want to emulate a lot of the things that she has done in her life. For sure, like a lot of the root values and passions we definitely share. I completed my 4 years at Miami University, got my bachelor's degree in business with a focus in marketing, graduated in May, and I was just feeling really unsure of like what I wanted to do after graduation. But there was a voice in my head kind of telling me, like, you know what, like maybe you don't do the traditional go work in a big four consulting firm after college and go straight into the workforce. And so I thought back to myself, and when I was like thinking about when I was the happiest in my life and the most excited, it was when I studied abroad during my junior year of college. And so I started to look at opportunities of how I can move back to Europe and get to travel and have this cultural immersion experience again. So I found becoming an au pair as the best option for me on what to do for my next step after graduation. So I made a profile on a website called aupairworld.com. For those of you who don't know, an au pair is like a cultural exchange program where basically in exchange for room and board, you offer like nannying services to kids in families in different countries around the world, not even just in Europe. So I did that, ended up finding a family in Paris, France that I really, really connected with, and went through the process of getting a visa, signing my contract, and then moved here in September. So crazy. Been here for 6 months now. And yeah, my life has been really exciting here. Definitely has its challenges, but I mean, so does every single phase of life, and so does every single, decision that you make in life. And so, yeah, I'm living in Paris. I've been learning French as a 23-year-old, which I never thought I would do.
That's an
Hanging out.
important thing to point out. She took
Yeah.
5 years of Spanish, but she chose to move to Paris because that is logical.
Yeah, it definitely would have been like easier for me to probably move to Spain or another Spanish speaking country or English speaking.
You've always,
But
there is a picture of the Eiffel Tower over your bed. I mean, I
yeah,
believe that you were drawn to where you were supposed to be. It was,
yeah.
now, friends, I will tell you, she is Lyndsey in Paris, not quite Emily. She doesn't have the wardrobe, the drama, the lifestyle, but she is living the life.
Yes, yeah, it's definitely, I'm very, very grateful for the experience that I have and trying to take it all in because I'm here for around 4 more months, which is crazy that I'm over halfway through. Like, I feel like it's been so fast. But I think at the same time, like, it's been such a transformative experience to prove myself that I can do so many new and uncomfortable things. And I felt that, this time in my early 20s, post graduation from university, I was like, there's no better time than now to like go put myself out in these uncomfortable situations that will help me be able to grow and move forward and kind of figure out what that next phase of my life will look like after this, which I'm in the process of figuring out. But I hope that like by me telling my experience about doing this, it could help inspire other young women who are kind of in the same boat where they don't know if they want to go do something super conventional after they graduate or even after high school or any phase in their young adult life. Because, in this day and age, it's like becoming more conventional to do the unconventional, but it's obviously still very scary. And I'm not saying that I like did this without having fears. My mom is my biggest supporter and the person that I seek so much advice from. And she can tell you that it was definitely a journey. I figured it out, and it's definitely been the best decision that I could have made for myself at this phase of my life.
So as I watch my kids, both Lyndsey and her younger sister, and the things that they have overcome and what they do, not despite them, but in spite of them. And so Lyndsey lost her sister when she was not even 6 years old. She grew up in her first 5 years with parents that were suffering and then parents that weren't really kind of there. I mean, we didn't have emotional stability or even anything to give at that time. Then she was an only child for 9 months, and then her sister showed up. And then not only were her parents incapacitated, there was this kid. And then her parents would get divorced. And anybody who came from a broken home knows what that does to you. Then Lyndsey struggled with some pretty significant mental health challenges that we were all afraid she might not survive. But then look at her now. And I will tell you, we have a great support system and network, but you did the work. You showed up and you are the reason you're living your dream in Paris. And I'm pretty proud that I could say I held your hand along the way, but I didn't do the work. You did. And if you had something that you could share, Lyndsey, with anybody watching, whether they are your generation or my Gen X nation, whatever it is, what would you want to tell them about how you got from there to here?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, you just touched on this, but obviously having that community and support system very much to hold my hand and be there for me during those times was huge. And I know that looks different for everyone. But there are always going to be people out there that want the best for you and that will support you. And sometimes you're going to have to go out and look for them, but promise that they're out there. So first off, definitely like lean on people to help you. I think one of the hardest lessons to learn in life is learning to ask for help. And as somebody who's extremely type A and my least favorite feeling in the world is feeling dumb or feeling less than or not knowing. It was really hard for me to learn how to ask for help, but I think like having help is the only reason that I'm able to be here and speak with you guys today because I wouldn't have been able to go through my challenges silently and alone. Secondly, I want to touch on how powerful, kind of goes hand in hand with honestly what I was talking about, just how powerful your mind is in changing your life. And I'm sure you hear that all the time, but I hope that I can be like a physical testament to that. Like 6 years ago, I would have never imagined that I would be capable of getting to this point where I am living in a different country, fully funded by myself, fully, here on my own, work and my own research and everything, because I was just in such a dark place. But I think like once I kind of shifted my mindset and was like, you know what, like there's one life that I get, I don't want to be on my deathbed in however many years and look back on my life with any sort of regret. And I think when I had that realization, I was probably like around 18 when I had this realization, when I was deciding on what I was going to do after high school and where I was going to go to college. And I think a big part of the reason that I had that wake up call is because through all my mental health struggles and then also losing my sister at a young age, I kind of learned from a very young age through the circumstances of my life that like life is very much a privilege. And the life that you get, you really have to cherish it and you really have to do your best to make the most out of it. And I think switching my mindset to that really helped me to feel motivated and propel me forward to make maybe more scary decisions because I started to realize that after every scary decision that I made and after every single thing I did that scared me, the outcome was like not scary. It was life-changing and amazing. And I think the more times that I put myself in those situations, and every single time I saw that it was like the hardest decisions make the most incredible life-changing outcomes, I kept motivating myself to continue pushing myself out of my comfort zone and making those decisions because I have proven research from literally doing it in my life that it works and that it is life changing. So I know it's really easier said than done, but as women, we are incredibly strong and our tuitions are so strong and like our hearts and our minds are so strong and it's hard to really follow your heart because a lot of things go up on up here and it gets in the way. But it is one of the strongest muscles that we have, literally and figuratively. And it hasn't steered me in the wrong direction yet, even out with everything that I've been through. So lean on that and trust yourself, trust your heart and your gut with these big decisions that might be scary because I promise you on the other side, it's going to be the best thing that you could have done for yourself.
Well, and I think a lot of us think that we're the parent and we teach our kids. One of the greatest gifts that I've received is being able to be taught by my kids. And the first time I ever went to Europe was when Lyndsey was studying abroad. That was 4 years ago. God, the time is just like insane.
Years,
2 years
two,
ago? Oh, well, I guess I
3 years
wasn't.
ago. No, I think it was 3 years ago.
Regardless, I was a little bit younger, but still, for the first time in my life, I always saw obstacles. And even what I'm doing with my business now, I saw obstacles. I saw the hurdles, and whether it was time, money, connections, candidly, it was more fear of would people buy what I was selling, which was my story and perspective around it. But then I watched you go and I watched you overcome. And I'm like, okay, Karen, you need to practice what you preach, or at least look at the people that are living it right in front of your eyes. And when we talked about putting together something for Women's Empowerment Month and doing something a little different, that's when we meaning myself and my team, got together and I was like, I have always dreamed of sharing a stage with Lyndsey and being able to bring the mother-daughter perspective to the world on a lot of big issues. Mental health is one of them. I don't know, sex and your parents dating, or it could be money. Oh, dear Lord, you need to come back someday because we can talk money, honey. It's a whole nother topic. Lyndsey's learned from mommy's mistakes and she's a powerhouse. And all I have to say is, you're welcome. One of us had to pay the price. But I wish that every woman that I encountered had a circle, a connection, and friends or communities, whether it's a professional community, whether it's a personal community, it could be your faith community, your family. For what, Linz? Maybe 5 or 6 years, we were the Carter girls. After her dad and I separated and divorced, it was Lyndsey and her younger sister and I. And there were times it was not easy. And we made vacations. We started having girlcation days when we couldn't afford vacations. And we just formed a circle. And that circle is, for me, the foundation of how I do what I do every day. And the foundation started with my mom, and Grandma Dottie's not here anymore. But I was blessed to have that foundation, and she taught me the values of faith and family and what it meant to show up and be present for the people you love. And the greatest opportunity we have as individuals, with or without a world of connection, is the ability to show up and be present for someone else. And I will tell you, this is the way Lyndsey and I talk right now. I do get to talk to her almost every day. It's actually like I talk to her more on the other side of the world than when she was an hour away. And it is precious. And I also get to explore the entire, I don't know, European hemisphere through Lyndsey's eyes, with the gifts of Find My Friends and FaceTime. I get to travel with her around the world. And I will say this, she travels on a regular basis by herself. Talk about a mom having like a freak out fear moment. But if you listen to the journey, 6 years ago, you couldn't be alone with yourself. Being with yourself alone was a torment. It was it was what broke you into pieces. And now you choose to travel the world alone to be with the person you most want to celebrate this experience with, and that is you. And if we're going to wrap up, there's no better way than to say, whoa, if that is not the greatest accomplishment, achievement. Women's History Month is about celebrating the achievements of women. Celebrate your greatest achievement in your life to date is loving yourself. And I got to have a front row seat and lots of wine to get me through it, but a front row seat to watch you grow and shine. And I love you to the moon and back, infinity. And I cannot wait. I get to go see her. She lives in Europe. We get to show up and experience Paris through Lyndsey's eyes in just a few months. And I cannot absolutely wait. And I cannot wait to do more of this with you as you grow wings in whatever direction you're meant to fly. I'm going to ground you and pull you back into my little world and ask you to join me again and again.
Course. Well, I love you to the moon and back and infinity as well. And I could not have done any of this without the support of women just like you. So thank you.
All right. It's funny because Lyndsey and I have this relationship where we literally can be two of the same person. Just what are we, 34, 36 years apart. The exact same age difference of me and my mom. Our relationship, though, is quite different. Lyndsey and I don't have a huge filter in almost anything that we say to one another, and the boundaries of TMI are often crossed. Now,
Yeah.
there are certain things we've both agreed. If you talk to me about it, I'm talking to you about it. And I usually win
And
that
things that you
battle.
don't want to know about your mom. We're not going to get into details here.
And then we have to agree that it's
Then we have to
time.
set that boundary.
Boundaries
Yeah.
are big.
Okay,
Boundaries are
that's fine.
huge. Yeah.
Um,
And so,
Let me just, well, my everything's a little, I've had like a really crazy day. Just like everything's a little awry. I just had to take a power nap because I'm like so exhausted. But I have like things to do after this because I am just a girl living on the go.
a girl living on the go, where?
In
In
Paris.
Paris.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. I have to have so much empathy. And we know that I lack empathy when you have your challenges in Paris.